Algebra 1A and Algebra 1, this is part 4 of your guys' review using estimation. Our directions tell us to estimate each sum or difference. So our first example is 956 minus 542. Now I can plug that into my calculator and find out that that is 414, but that is the actual answer. It is not an estimate. So if you were to put 414 on your paper, I would count it wrong because the directions say to estimate the answer. It does not say to find the actual answer. When I think of estimating, I think of being able to do it in my head. Something that I can easily add or subtract in my head. So our first possible estimation would be to round 956 to 960. I could also round 542 to 540, and that is using normal rounding rules. In estimation, when you do estimates, you don't necessarily have to have to use normal rounding rules. Because all estimation is a number that is close to the other number, not necessarily using the rounding rules. And I know that is very hard for students. When I was teaching this to the fifth graders at Brennick were really dead set on using the rounding rules every single time. You don't have to. When we're using estimation, we are literally finding numbers that are close to the original numbers. Okay, it's not necessarily using normal rounding rules. Although in this case, I think it is easy to use normal rounding rules. So then I could actually find out that 960 minus 540 is actually 220. Notice how 220 is actually pretty close to the estimate, or to the actual number, isn't it? Because we really didn't round that much. All right, let's take another look. While 420 is a perfect answer to this problem, so is the next one I'm going to show you. What I could do is round 956 to 1,000. I could also round 542 to 500. And then I can subtract it. I can say that that's 500. So another estimation of the same problem is going to be 500. Notice that 500 is a little bit more farther away from 414, which is the actual answer. One of the reasons for that being is the fact that the place value that we rounded. On this one, we rounded to the tens. On this one, we rounded to the hundreds. And remember the rounding rules? The rounding rules say that if the number that is to the right of the number that I want to round is 5 or greater, then we round up. So in this case, we round up, right? If the number to the right of the number that we are wanting to round is less than 5, so 4 or less, then we just replace those numbers to the right of it with zeros. So in this case, this was a 2, so we just dropped it off and put a 0 there. That is how we do normal rounding. If you were to write down either one of these responses, I would give you full credit, but I also need to see your rounding, okay? But if you tell me that the answer is 414, I'm going to count it wrong. Again, because yes, the actual answer is 414, but that is not what the directions ask. The directions ask us for the estimation of it. Okay, so another example that I want you guys to do, and I want you guys to work out on your own, is this one. This is a perfect reason why I like to round and use estimation. It's because if these were store items that I was going into the store for, I would like to know what I'm about to spend. I'm not going to know the exact amount because if you think about it, we have sales taxes that come into play. So I'm never going to know the exact amount that's going to come on the register, but I can give me, a really good estimation of how much it's going to cost when I get up there. So our example is $62.82 plus $1.50 plus $268.30. So I want you to pause the video right now, and I want you to estimate the total cost of this bill if this was an actual case scenario. All right, assuming that you have actually worked this out, let's look and see what some of our answers could be. So in this case, the actual of this is $332.62. Again, if you were to tell me that this was your answer, I'm counting it wrong. Because although, yes, when those are added together, they do give me $332.62. That is the actual. That is not the estimation. Okay? So the directions say to estimate each sum or difference. Do not give me the exact number. Okay, so what I did on this one is I rounded. We did $62.80, and we rounded it up to 63. I then looked at 150 and rounded it up to 2. And then I looked at 268 and 30 cents, and I rounded up to 268. All right, rounded it down. And then I added those up and came up with 333. 333 is not really a number that I can really do in my head. Okay, you know, adding 6 or 3 and 2, yeah, that's not too bad-ish. I just, when I see a lot of those numbers, it's like I want something that I could add easily in my head. So although 333 is a good estimation of the of this problem, it's probably not the best one to actually do in our heads. So I went ahead and did another one that we could possibly be the answer to. I could round $62.80 to 60. 60 is a nice little number that I can easily add up, right? I could also round 150, or sorry, not 150, but $1.50 to 2. Isn't 2 a nice number to use? Yeah. Pretty similar to the one in the above situation. I could also round 268.30 to 270. Notice I did not round it to 268 or even to, well, actually I did round it to 270, so I did round it to the tens place. So I guess really not different from the top one. So if I were to add those up together, I would get $332. And that one was a little bit easier to add up in my head because really all I had to do was add 6 and 7 together, get 13, and carry that 1, and that gives me 3. So $332. And that is also a pretty good estimation of what the actual cost was, right? Okay. So go ahead and stop the video. And this is, again, part 4. We're going to move on to part 5 in just a second.